Alright, baby. Let's ride. There's one thing that I constantly remind myself whenever I go out riding. Doesn't really matter whether it's commuting to work or going to the mall or just out for a little bit of joyriding. Now, it doesn't always work, mind you, and I find myself twisting the throttle more than I should have, more than is prudent, more than is wise, and all that. But for the most part, it works, and it has saved me from a whole lot of trouble and pain, at least in my humble opinion. Yeah, I keep telling myself that it wasn't a race. It's not a race, and there is very little to be gained, and a heck of a whole lot to lose in treating it as such. Very little to be gained indeed. Well, of course, there's time to be gained, you might say. There's that. Logic dictates you go fast, you get to where you are going faster, you get to where you are going earlier, and depending on the circumstances, you just might end up shaving 10 minutes or 20 minutes or even 30 minutes of your travel time, which I'll be the first to admit could definitely spell the difference between, say, getting to work on time or not. Yeah, sure, there's that. There's time to be gained. But think for a moment what you are betting, what you are putting on the line for said gain in travel time. You are literally betting your life and limb, and for what? Just so you can get to work on time? You're better off leaving the house earlier, I say. You want to get to work on time or early? Well, set the alarm clock for an earlier time. That's the best solution, man. For the thrill of speed and danger? That's just stupid, man. That's what track days are for. Now, you might be fine with that. I mean, it's your life you're putting on the line after all. It's your life, man. You decide just how much your life is worth. But me, I value my hide far too much for that, so no thanks, I say. Yeah. Now, I might consider risking and even sacrificing my life for something loftier than gaining a few minutes of travel time just so I can get home in time to watch, say, Victor Magtanggol on TV or Ang Probinsyano. Something like, say, for my country, for my family, or even for the sake of religion. Not that I'm overly religious or anything like that, but yeah, if the cause is good enough, if the cause is noble enough, and if the cause really warranted it, I probably would. But this is a motorcycle blog, so let's leave it at that and go back to the topic at hand. Yeah, it's not a race, man. Not a race at all. So, take your time. At least that's what I keep telling myself, and it works for the most part. First is good and all that, but third or fourth is even better, I say. No need to hurry, man. It's not a race. Even if you're running late, take your time. it's not a race. Let others go on ahead and be first if they want, and you'll be the better for it. Yeah. Particularly when filtering through traffic and crossing intersections. It always pays to be not the first one to go. When you are out front and first, or even second in line, filtering through traffic, chances of not being seen, of not being noticed by the drivers of the cars you pass by are quite high indeed. Well, yeah, relatively high at least. Which would not be a problem at all, I suppose, for standstill or slow moving traffic, but for traffic moving faster than, say, 10 kilometers per hour or even 15 kilometers per hour, man, that could very well spell disaster. Yeah, being third or fourth or fifth or even sixth in line is by far the much safer bet if you ask me. I mean, with a couple of bikes ahead of you, the drivers in those cars you pass by, those cars and such, well, they should be already aware and alerted to the presence of motorcycles by the time you pass them by. Yeah, they know you're there, they know you're passing by, they are aware of your presence. It's much safer, man. Much safer indeed. Pretty much the same idea when it comes to crossing intersections, especially the ones with traffic lights. Through the years, my many years of riding experience, now I'm no expert, as I've mentioned before, no expert on the matter of riding motorcycles, but I have many years of experience under my belt, so through the years I've found that it's typically a good idea to let others, regardless of whether they are bikes or cars or whatever, it's typically a good idea to let them cross the intersection first. And I try to constantly remind myself of that, lest I forget. Doesn't really always work, as I had mentioned. Sometimes I just can't help but scratch that itch, but for the most part it works. I try to constantly remind myself that it's not a race. It's not a race, man. It's not a race. Yeah. This way you protect yourself from any oncoming vehicles with reckless drivers behind the wheel. You know, those drivers who think nothing of beating the red light. You know that old joke? Well, I do, but maybe this is the first time you've heard of it. You know that old joke where you ask them what the lights on the traffic lights mean, and they say green means stop, go rather. Red means stop, and yellow means go very, very fast. Yeah, that old joke. Well, better safe than sorry and all that. Yeah. Let them all go first, I say, and cross the intersection. Once you see it's safe to cross, then that's when you do it. Use them as a shield, so to speak. Now, it may seem a bit underhanded, and it is. Truth be told, it is. But hey, they want to go first. Who are you to argue, right? Yeah. And besides, it really is the most prudent way to go. Yeah, trust me on this one. Drive or ride defensively. Defensively rather. I always say, be on the alert and always be ready to react to the ever-changing conditions and circumstances of the road. And the first crucial step, in my humble opinion, is to keep on reminding yourself that you are not in a race. Yeah, it's not a race, man. I can't say that enough. It most certainly is not a race. Save all that for the track, and you'll live longer and better for it. No doubt there will be riders out there that would insist that riding offensively is a whole lot better and preferable than riding defensively. The best defense, after all, is a good offense, right? Well, maybe, maybe not. I mean, all it takes is just that one incident and you're down and out for the count. There's aggressive riding and then there's aggressive stupid. And the difference between the two is a fine line indeed. So you be the judge. Me, defensive riding all the way, I say. Well, defensive riding for the most part. As I had mentioned again and again before in this motovlog entry, I try to remind myself every time I get on the saddle, every time I go out riding, the first thing I say to myself, the first thing I say after I had done a little prayer. It's been a custom of mine, a practice of mine to say a little prayer before I go out riding. But that's me. Aside from that, the first thing that I say to myself, it's not a race. Take your time. Even if you are running late, take your time. Get to where you're going in one piece. Safe riding, keep safe and all that. Yeah. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, keep on riding on, baby.